2023 had a lot of really nice and interesting releases, and with it almost being finished, in today's video we're gonna have a look at the top 10 most comfortable shoes which dropped this year. And probably my list won't be the same as your list, but at least in my opinion these are the most comfortable shoes to drop all year long, and these will actually be shoes which I've reviewed on the channel. So let's not waste any more time, guys, and start with number 10 on the list. We have the Adidas Ultra Boost Lite, which dropped somewhere around start of 2023 for the retail price of £170, and this one brought some different materials for the midsole, which for sure, judging by the name, was slightly a bit lighter than the previous one, which was the Ultra Boost 22. So most definitely I find that this pair of running shoes, it's one of the most comfortable out there. But in case you are not too drawn about the design or maybe the color combinations, we're also gonna have an alternative, which will be the Explorer Boost, which dropped somewhere around the mid of the year for the retail price of £190, which after a couple of months dropped to £160. And that one had a very stretchy upper, which was also very breathable, and it also had a very high midsole, which had two types of boost material, which also had like a stabilizer plate in between them. So for sure I found that that one was one of the best releases coming from Adidas for 2023, where the level of comfort was actually quite good. Going now to the number 9 on the list, guys, we're gonna have the Nike Infinity Run 4, which at least for this year got a very important update, at least comparing with the last year's version, which was very similar to the previous year as well. We got a very big update where the actual midsole got a new material, which was slightly a bit squishier, but at least for me personally, I don't find that the design for the upper it's that interesting, at least comparing with the previous releases. And this one also got recently the Cortex version as well, which for sure will be quite appealing for people running no matter what the weather is. Coming in at number 8 on the list, guys, we had the Lacoste Elite Active, which dropped somewhere around the second half of the year. This one was available in 3 color combinations if I'm not mistaken, and for sure this one was actually quite a pleasant surprise. I just bought that one to see exactly what Lacoste has to offer on the market, and to be honest, the design it's actually quite interesting, and this one was a follow-up on a previous release coming from Lacoste, which was called Active Runway, which had a very interesting design, as you can see now. But the Elite Active was slightly a bit more comfortable and wearable, at least in my opinion. So for sure I find that Lacoste it's still bringing some good shoes, but of course not as other brands which are consistently bringing new releases all the time. Going now on the 7th place on our list, guys, we have the Nike Huarache Runner, which got a small update for the upper and also for the midsole as well, which at least for me, as I wasn't a big fan of the previous range, for sure made me buy this one and also keep it. And I guess the main detail which made me go for this one this year was that we finally had like a detachable tongue, which made the entry in the shoe slightly a bit better. And also this one got a bit lighter, so for sure these two details were the most important things to be updated in 2023. Going now to the 6th place, guys, on our list, we're gonna have a new release coming from Adidas, which was the OS Millan range, which was also one of the most cheapest pairs coming in 2023. Which brought a very interesting design for the upper with a breathable mesh and a very comfortable midsole. And even though this one was a brand new release, the retro vibes were actually quite obvious. And I guess between all of these releases coming from Adidas OS world, I find that this one was one of the most interesting ones. And as an alternative for this OS Millan range coming from Adidas, we also have the Nike Motiva as well, which was a pair of walking shoes, but for sure that one was a very comfortable one, which was coming at roughly the same price as the Adidas range. But this one had actually a very high midsole, which was very squishy, and it also had that rocker design. Taking now the 5th position on our list, guys, we're gonna have this new range coming from Nike, which is called the P6000, which dropped throughout all of the year in 4 or 5 color combinations, if I'm not mistaken, and the price was actually quite a good one. And even though this one was a fairly new release on the market, this one, as the previous Adidas OS Millan, was bringing these retro vibes designs, which are looking quite nice. The materials were actually quite good as well, and the level of comfort coming from that midsole combined with those very flexible and light materials for the upper, I need to admit that it felt that it's actually a very good option out there. And this one will actually be an alternative to the Nike Vomero 5, which will be roughly the same, but it will come at a slightly higher price, which yet again I found that in 2023 they dropped in a few colors and they were actually quite good. These two were almost the same comfort wise. Taking the fourth position on our list, guys, we're gonna have a fairly new release which I dropped a review last month, and this one was for the Adidas Supernova Rise, which, at least comparing with the normal releases coming for this Supernova range, this one will come at a slightly higher price. And to be honest, I wasn't sure why this happened, but having these ones in hand and also on foot, I realized that the level of comfort and also the materials are much better comparing with the usual Supernovas. So it seems that for this one we had a brand new material being released, which was called Dream Strike, which felt quite good underfoot, and as this one was a running pair of shoes, for sure it will help out a lot. And as I said in that specific review, I really feel that this one is very close now to the Ultra Boost range, which will come at a slightly higher price. So taking the third position for today on our list, guys, we have the Nike Zoom X Invincible Run 3, which brought one of the most comfortable midsoles to be released for the whole year. The upper, to be honest, wasn't one of my favorites, but it was still a good one. But for sure the main attraction was that very high midsole, which was very squishy as well. Of course, this one was coming at a slightly higher price than usual, which was very close to the Adidas range as well. But for sure I found that that one was one of the best releases for the whole year. As an alternative for this Nike Zoom X Invincible Run, we also have the Nike Pegasus 40, which will come at a lower price, which I guess it will be justified in the materials used for that upper. But for the midsole, we're still gonna have a very squishy material, which feels very good underfoot. Going now to our second position on the list, guys, we're gonna have a fairly new range on the market, which dropped in the last couple of years. So this one will be the Adidas Response CL, which will have a retro design, which will bring a quite good materials and very good level of comfort. And this one was already at the base of the collaboration between Adidas and the Bad Bunny, and they actually dropped already 3 color combinations, if I'm not mistaken. But in my opinion, I find that this range, which comes at a very good price, it's actually a very good competitor for a lot of releases coming from New Balance with these retro designs. And as an alternative for this Response CL, we're gonna have another release coming from Adidas, which just dropped in the last week or so, and that one was the SL72 RS, which stands from Remastered. So in case you are not familiar with this range, this one was released back in the 70s as a running shoe, but now in 2023 this one got slightly a bit changed, where the turbo section got slightly a bit wider and more accommodating to your feet, and also that rubber midsole just got changed with an EVA midsole, which it's actually quite lightweight and very squishy underfoot. And given that this one will come at a slightly lower price than the Response CL, for sure I find that these two will actually be quite suited for this second place on my list. So to finish up my list for today, guys, going on the first place, we're gonna have the New Balance 9060, which dropped in the last couple of years, starting with that collaboration with Joe Fresh Goods. But even if this one is not coming in a collaboration, I find that for the whole year we had so many colorways which looked quite good. And as an alternative to this New Balance 9060, we're gonna have another release coming from New Balance, which dropped this year around end of summer. So this one will be a brand new range, which is called Warped Runner, which apparently is just a lifestyle pair of shoes, which will have a very high midsole, but that one is actually quite squishy and feels very good underfoot. But as this one is available just in 4 colorways at the time, I wouldn't say that people are going crazy for it. At least for me personally, I find that the first release, which was coming in that the sea salt colorway, was one of the best. And also the most recently one, which was called the Dark Mushroom, for which I dropped a review the other day. But I really hope that New Balance will bring some more colorways on the market. I find that this one is actually a very nice and interesting one. So that pretty much sums it up for today, guys. And as I said at the start of the video, my list might not be the same with yours, which is totally fine. Most of the times our fit will be so much different. And even though we went from 10th place to the first place, this actually doesn't represent the level of comfort. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and if you did, don't forget to press the like button, maybe also subscribe to the channel. You can also give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok to see exactly what I'm gonna review in the next few days. And as always, I'll see you in my next one. Thanks for watching.